Evening, everyone. Evening. We have my illustrious guests here tonight, DJB and Kenny Ken, the Old Skool show. How we doing, DJ? How's it going?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Bit nervous about tonight's game, but in the Champions League. But we will see. We will see.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one tonight. That is for sure. Kenny, how we doing, mate?
It's just like we know what it is. We're not going to win anything this season. The disarray is massive, absolutely massive. And you know, obviously, we've myself and DJB, we've just seen at the club do their magic, their little magic trick in increasing season ticket prices for next season. But you know, I'm really looking forward to this because there's loads of this is probably a part of the show that's going to cause a lot of debate because there's some bloody good keepers that we're going to sort of run through. You know,
I totally agree, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's not forget the guy who used to run the Arsenal shop back in the 80s, eh? Welsh guy.
Jack Kelsey.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, Kelsey.
Yeah, that's him.
He was kind of more or less raised around North London, but he had a Welsh background, didn't he? If I remember.
He's Welsh national, wasn't
he?
Yeah, Welsh international, but yeah, a bit like David Price, Welsh international, but brought up around like the London area.
Yeah, he was brought up not far from the ground, wasn't he? Yeah.
Right then, let's get into it. Let's get into this. DJ, you came up with a great bit of history.
Yeah, I've got a nice bit of history.
Go on.
And obviously, my granddad had a lot of connections with the club because he, used to be a program seller back in the day. God bless him, and he used to sell a bit of green grocery to some of the old players and that because he had a green grocery store. But that's another story. But there was a goalkeeper back in the 30s called Frank Moss. An interesting story about Frank Moss. In 1935, on the 29th of March, we played Everton at home. And Frank Moss, at the time, dislocated his shoulder during the game. And Arsenal didn't have any substitutes. So one of the outfield players went in goal. And they brought Frank Moss out of goal with a dislocated shoulder and they put him on the left side of midfield. And Frank Moss scored in a 2-0 victory over Everton. And to this day, he's the only Arsenal goalkeeper that has scored in a top flight football.
Wow.
So very interesting was Frank Moss. He was a bit of a character back in the day as well. He liked life, as you can say, and just a bit of history back in the 30s with Frank Moss, and then the Swindon took over, I think, didn't he?
Oh, Swindon.
Yeah, Swindon. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're a bit all before our times, but
yeah,
he was a good goalkeeper, shit manager.
Yeah, 4 years, didn't he?
Wasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, he was it 4 or 5 years he managed at Arsenal, and in the 50s didn't really cut the mustard, and then became our manager for a little bit. But as you were saying, Kenny, before we went live, and we've had some great goalkeepers. I mean, the first one I ever really remember was, of course, Bob Wilson.
Of course, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Wilson. I mean, I don't know. I for some stupid reason, I always seem to think he was Scottish, but he wasn't. He was born in Chester.
No, he is Scottish. He is Scottish. Bob is Scottish. I think Bob's comes from a very Scottish background. Obviously, you look at Bob's birthplace, and obviously he was brought up in Chesterfield. And I think he started off as an amateur in Chesterfield Football Club, where, ironically, Chesterfield produced a lot of good goalies. You go, Gordon Banks was at Chesterfield at the time. John Lukic, who we're going to discuss later, was at Chesterfield as well. So they're good background goalkeepers. But originally, I think he started as an amateur, Bob, and he was actually a school teacher. I think that was what he wanted to do. His ambition really was, he had two ambitions. One to be a good school teacher and obviously be a goalkeeper. He never thought he would make it, but he was there for us for 10 years, 64 to 74. You look at it, towards the end of his career in the sort of early 70s, he was coming towards the end because, he was getting, remember Jeff Barnett in 1972 Cup final. And I think other goalkeepers are coming into reckoning as well. But yeah, Bob. But I always we used to always talk about Jack Kelsey because of not because I ever saw him play or never, but it was a case of he ran the Arsenal shop and there was loads of memories of him in the sort of 60s, 50s and 60s. But coming back to Bob Wilson, I remember when I was about 5. Watching my first memories of watching football was when I was 5. Probably the FA Cup final in 1977, Liverpool and Man United. But coming back to that, I remember seeing a bloke presenting Football Focus. I remember on 5. It's 1977, and I said to him, I went, "Oh yeah, by the way, that guy played for Arsenal." I said, "No, he didn't. He never played for Arsenal. He's the next program on Grandstand. He's been on Grandstand forever." Because I've only known him from Grandstand presenting Football Focus, and when look, some video programs. What? And then, believe it or not, when they were going for a cup finals, it showed him as the Arsenal goalkeeper. Ironically, it showed Steve Highway putting a ball past him in '71. But yeah, Bob Wilson, legend and an excellent goalkeeping coach.
Yeah, he was for years. Years.
Yeah, I mean,
years.
The thing is with Bob, I mean, 308, 310 appearances for Arsenal, and he was always known for his bravery. He was very, very brave, and one of his key assets as a goalkeeper was coming out and diving at the attacker's feet.
Yeah,
and he'd go in with his head first, and he'd come out, and he was very good at smothering the ball and coming out to stop the attacker and dive. He was very quick off his line, very, very brave, and he had a safe pair of hands as well. He had a good leap on crosses. Never wore any gloves. Used to just spit on his fingers or lick his hands and lick his fingers.
Did they?
No.
Most keepers didn't wear gloves.
No, the gloves sort of, you used to have the green cotton ones, didn't you? Like Alex Stepney used to wear them, didn't he? And then, they obviously they developed scientifically over the years, didn't they? With more different materials and protection.
They're like, I don't think you move your fingers, can you?
Exactly. They're moulded, aren't they?
Gloves, they?
Yeah. But Bob Wilson, I mean, he's absolute legend of the club. I mean, but very brave. I remember seeing clips of him and coming out, and he would no fear at all. So that's why he did have pick up quite a lot of injuries.
Yeah,
Wilson, and a lot of them were kind of shoulder and head and things like that, where he'd come out to attackers and everything. So.
It was at Highbury, and it was Eddie Gray, Leeds United. It was about 1972, and Eddie Gray was clean through. Bob Wilson came out to the edge, nearly to the edge of his 18-yard box, and he got the ball. Eddie Gray dribbled it. He got the ball, and Eddie Gray, unintentionally, he didn't mean to do it, smacked him straight in the face. It was claret everywhere, and he just got up and he got on with the game. He just booted the ball up the pitch, and then there was all over the place, and he just was like that. Yeah. Fucking blood everywhere, man. I mean, he was an iconic. I mean, as you say, as Kenny said, he was what? How long was he a coach? The goalkeeper coach? Got to be what?
Oh, good few years.
I think definitely he got replaced. I think he got replaced by Jerry Payton, the ex Republic of Ireland and Fulham goalkeeper. But Bob, because I know Bob was ironically, Bob was coaching. Obviously, as someone in the chat just mentioned, just from memories as well. He coached Johnny Lukic. He coached David Seaman virtually at the same time. And when David Seaman was the goalkeeper, well into like the beginning of the 21st century, I believe Bob was still his coach. So it was from a personal perspective. But in terms of what you're saying about him being very brave and not wearing gloves, under respect, and he loved a cap as well. You got to look at the success we had. Obviously, we all talk about the Fairs Cup. We all obviously talk about the double winning side. But when you think about the improvement, the improvement of our team in the late 60s when Bertie came along, he is very much part of that. You know what I mean? He's very much part of that, and that's where you've got to give him credit. You think about it, like you talk about leaders, you know, Frank McClintock. You talk about hard men like you know, Simpson and Story, but you know, you've got to have a keeper that you trust. You know what I mean? You can't win things with keepers who basically like cowboys. You have to have a leader.
You've got to have a solid keeper.
Bob was very much that leader. And as you said, he's Mr. Arsenal as well. Probably didn't grow up supporting us. In fact, believe it or not, Bob had trial at Man United. So Man United's lost with their game.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, exactly.
He was a teacher at Loughborough College. Then he went to Wolves, but he never played a proper first team game for Wolves. And then we got him from there, and he was an absolute. I mean, I remember watching him. He was a right big lump, wasn't he? Big old bloke. You know what I mean? He was a pretty solid fella. He can take it. He also liked to give it out, Kenny. I'm sure you're referring to like a little clip of him smacking Billy Bremner around the head. Yeah, I'm sure. But then again, everyone did that at Billy Bremner. You know, there's a photo, an iconic photo of Dave Mackay and getting Billy Bremner around the neck in 1965. You know, Spurs versus Leeds, and obviously, you know, 1975 European Cup final. Sepp Meyer is slapping Billy Bremner as well, because Billy Bremner for 5'4", he used every inch of his body. He was an odd little, you know, Scot. And, you know, you didn't mess with him. And if you hit Billy Bremner, you had to make sure you hit him hard and make sure he went down. Because if you didn't, God help you. Yeah. He was a nasty little fucker. I mean, that Leeds team, when you think about it, they had some proper wrongings in there. Norman Hunt.
Jess, you know who was that?
Go on, Kenny.
You know the one who started it all, and you'll be surprised about him. Have you heard of a player called Bobby Collins? He used to manage Barnsley in the 80s. Ooh. He was the first Leeds hard man, the first dirty player. And I think he taught all of them.
Was he centre half?
No, he was a little midfielder, small Scot. Just
I vaguely remember.
He taught them everything they knew in terms of the dark arts. If you want to talk about dark arts, which look no further than Don Revie's team in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why when Brian Clough took over the Leeds, he had that famous quote, didn't he? He said, get all your medals and everything you've won and just throw them in the bin because you've won them all. Right. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And they looked at him and, but Don Rev, I mean, that Leeds team was tough. But I mean, this is why the goalkeepers really had to be tough as well, didn't they? They had to be mentally strong as well back then in the 70s. I mean, they really had to be strong mentally because some of the tackles and what went on was just incredible.
Elbows. Yeah. You know what I mean? Nat Loftus type of strikers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a different game. I mean, when you think about the pitches, I mean, how they used to be in winter, they were ploughed fields, weren't they? I mean, they were just a disgrace, really. How they played on them, I don't know, that bloody medicine ball football. But, Bob Wilson, mate, he absolute legend to me. But a player that I bet there's a lot of Arsenal fans, especially young Arsenal fans, never heard of. Got him from Man United, Jimmy Rimmer.
Jimmy, yes. That was our first goalkeeper. My first goalkeeper.
Yeah, and mine. Yeah. Oh, Jimmy Rimmer. Yeah, good shot stopper.
Yeah,
good shot. Bit erratic. Didn't really look like a football player, did he? He looked like someone you dragged out the pub on a Sunday afternoon to come and have a game of football, really. He was a bit rough. He was a bit rough and ready, old Jimmy, wasn't he? He was sort of old school kind of, rough and tumble. But he could mix it. I mean, he used to... He was steady, wasn't he, Jimmy Rimmer? He wasn't... he was steady, wasn't he? He just like... I remember a couple of times he'd come off his line and he'd come for the ball and he'd go, oh, no, I'm not going to get that. And he'd go back again, So he used to unnerve the defence a little bit at the time. But, he was steady, Jimmy. I mean, we've been really blessed where we have been blessed with goalkeepers at Arsenal. One thing that this club has been built on is a solid foundation of goalkeepers and defensive. But I remember once Jimmy, I remember once he come flying off of his line to clear the ball, and he completely airshot it, and I think it was against Derby, and he completely missed the ball, and then he went running back towards his goal, and he still stopped it and patted it round the goalpost when he had an open goal, and he managed to get back. So he was surprisingly quicker than a lot of people gave him credit for. But he was a bit of a character, old Jimmy.
He always liked to wear the old cap like you're wearing.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember?
That's why I've got it on tonight. See, in the goalkeepers.
I got one of those caps, but I just remember. When you first come to football, and obviously your introduction into Arsenal and football is the big match. Match today, or getting dragged by my mum to go and watch us play. And it was always that was my first sort of memories. Jimmy Rimmer in our goal, and believe it or not, obviously I was very surprised, pleasantly for him, that he went on to be a legend at Aston Villa, because, as he said,
he did.
I never had Jimmy Rimmer of being a top goalkeeper when he was with us.
No,
because I always saw him as like an understudy to like Alex Stepney at Man United. He was actually in that 1968 squad. He actually got a medal as a substitute. I think.
But he did go on to Aston Villa, and he done really, really well for him, didn't he?
Unbelievable.
He done fantastic for Villa.
Sad though. It's sad what happened to him in the league in the final, where he had to come off after about 10 minutes because his back went or something, something went. Yeah, he still hurts him to this day that he had to come off, and we got introduced to Nigel Spink.
Yes. Oh, yeah. God, I've forgotten about him. Bloody hell. Nigel Spink. Yeah, But I mean, he was I think Rimmer had a better time at Man United than he did at Arsenal. I think he was sort of like fading a little bit. And it was like coming down to the end of his career, really. I don't think we got the best Jimmy Rimmer.
No, not at all.
No. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that team in '74, where we nearly got kicked out 16th. You know what I mean?
He had some as old Rimmer, didn't he?
I think that was the end. I think that was pretty much the end of him in that team, because he had a right bad season in that last season he was here. Because, well, not his last season, but when he come in, because I mean, he'd left Man United, and that season Man United got 74 got relegated, didn't they? So he come to Arsenal, he swerved that one, come to us, and he wasn't much better at Arsenal. But I mean, let's be honest. We'll move on from him, because he wasn't really covered in glory, to be fair. But of course, after that, probably one of my favourite goalkeepers of all time, Pat Jennings. We nicked him. From
Super Pat.
I thought he was not only was I think a bloody excellent goalkeeper, one of the best of the best. He was also a damn nice bloke.
Yeah.
I met him a couple of times. He was a really nice fella. I mean, his hands. I've never seen a guy with hands as big as his. They're like shovels.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd catch a ball. I remember in the cup. Do you remember in the Man United Cup final? It was coming. I can't remember the Man United play. Well, he just went up and grabbed it with one hand.
He scooped it out the air with one hand, didn't he? He often caught the ball with one hand and gathered it with the other one. He often done that. But yeah, I mean, he was a Tottenham legend, really. I mean, you think the stick Sol Campbell got when he came to Arsenal, Pat Jennings didn't really experience any of that.
No.
And he played a lot of games for Spurs. And when he came to Arsenal, we just embraced him. I mean, and he ended up playing like 280 odd games for us, 91 clean sheets. So, I mean, he was so calming, wasn't he? I mean, I remember games where we used to get absolutely battered, we couldn't even get out of our own half. But he'd just calm everything down. He'd make saves look so easy. I remember one shot that he kind of saved, and it was sort of going to the top corner, and he hardly dived. He used to come off sometimes, and I'm sure they used to hang his kit back up on the. You know what I mean? You never used to see him diving about everywhere, did you? But he was very good with his feet. He was a good shot stopper with his feet. His angles was very, very good. Yeah. There was a lot of saves. Although he had big hands, he did used to. He was very, very good with his feet, and his positioning was very, very good. I mean, he was never out of position. He was an outstanding goalkeeper, Pat Jennings.
Yeah, they had a kick on him, didn't he?
Oh wow, yeah. He used to get a lot of height on the ball, didn't he? It used to take forever to come down. I mean, the height he used to get on the ball. Yeah, and he was also one of the first goalkeepers that used to sort of throw the ball out, because his throw was as good as some goalkeepers' kicks. I remember he used to throw beyond the halfway line.
Yes.
He had a throw on him. He had an overarm throw on him. And he'd get it way over the halfway line, straight to an opponent's feet. So where you've got the goalkeepers nowadays having to play the ball out like your Rayers and playing out from the back, and they've become like a sweeper. Pat Jennings, really, he used to do the same thing, but he'd throw it. And often he'd throw it, out to the wing, straight to feet and stuff like that. And, but he was... really good keeper, very cool.
I think what with Pat Jennings, he, as you say, he was always calm. He was never flustered. He'd get in the mix, no problem at all. And he used to get the right knock if he conceded a goal.
Oh yeah,
he had the right knock on. I mean, that cup fight. 78, 79. God, was he giving those defenders some shit?
Yeah.
When we got back to 2-2. 2-0 up, we're cruising, and it gets back to 2-2, second half. He was going absolutely bloody mental.
He was also very key for the Irish team as well. I mean,
Northern Ireland, is he still their record cap holder?
I think he is, yeah. Or is it Armstrong? Yeah. I think it.
It's definitely Pat. I think because he played in 1986. His last game was against. I think it was against Brazil, wasn't it, in '86 in Mexico?
Yeah,
but
he does hold it.
In terms of Big Pat, I second everything you say about. One thing I noticed about Pat was his angles, but it's a lot of the top keepers. They used to be like traditional goalkeepers. Used to go down with their hands, and if it came down on the near post, they'll try to go down, and sometimes it'd be too slow. Like Peter Shilton was always a traditional goalkeeper. He never used to use his feet. But if you notice with goalkeepers like Pat Jennings, Peter Shilton, and Ray Clements, they're only 6 foot. Now you fast forward to today.
Yeah,
if a goalkeeper is 6 foot, he don't get a game.
No.
Andy Gorham, 5'11", You know, there were times when people used to doubt him, but he was another great goalkeeper. But Pat Jennings is only 6 foot. So the things you mentioned about having to get everything spot on, you know, their positioning, the angles,
was brilliant.
Yeah, and especially when they had to come for crosses, it had to be 100% right, because they had to, timing was everything. Whereas today goalkeepers, they're just big lumps. I'm not saying they're poor, but they have better coaches than the Pat Jennings. But if you think of Pat Jennings' great games, obviously 1979, 1980, he saved one Kempes' penalty in 1980, Cup Winners' Cup. He had a good reputation for saving penalties, and
he did.
You think about those semi-finals marathons against Liverpool. There were times where Pat Jennings kept us in it.
He kept us in it lots of games. I remember often watching from the North Bank.
Yeah,
you know, and I mean, his name used to echo from that North Bank, didn't it? Pat Jennings, and but it was and it's true what you said, Kenny, because he was only 6 foot, but I remember, you know, like when strikers were interviewed after playing Arsenal, and he used to make the goal look so small, didn't he? Because of his angle and the way he come out. He made himself look so big. It was so difficult to get past him, you know. And
I've got a tribute for you both as well. In Pat Jennings joined us in July 77. Now, as a 5-year-old, I was stunned that Pat Jennings was playing for Arsenal. All because I always saw him in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah.
You know, and at that time, I was as a kid, I was wondering why Spurs why he was at Arsenal, and I was also wondering why Spurs were playing in a different division to us. Obviously, you're 5 and 6, you learn as you go along about relegation. But in terms of Pat Jennings, from the first North London derby in 1978 up until January 1981, Pat Jennings was never on the losing side of the North London derby.
No.
And
it was the Irish contingent, wasn't it? You had Brady there.
He was what I call the first Irishman out of 7. So number 1, and then obviously number 7 of the Irishman was Frank Stapleton. I'm just going by position on the field, but he was part of that North
Irish. Hence, that's why we've got a lot of Irish followers.
We were very
and our manager Terry Neal was from Northern Ireland, so you know the Northern Irish connection and Terry Neal, you know. Sammy Nelson, Belfast born. Pat Rice is captain at Northern Ireland, and
David O'Leary.
Is there any wonder that he was in a couple of Arsenal? It's a no-brainer, him coming to Arsenal. But again, brave decision, because as you guys admit, Pat Jennings is more of a Tottenham man than Arsenal. He loves Spurs more than he loves Arsenal. He's still welcomed
at both grounds, isn't he? He still gets some reception when he turns up at Spurs.
He works at Tottenham. He works at Tottenham.
He gets a big reception at Spurs, unlike Sol Campbell.
I think Sol Campbell's talked himself out of a welcome to Tottenham.
That is true. Joshua, it's an interesting question. Big up, gents. I'd like to ask, as a Spurs fan, who's our best players you've seen play for us? For me, I think of one. I think of Klinsmann and Ginola. Okay.
Glenn Hoddle was Spurs for me. And Gary Mabbutt was a sound defender.
Yeah, he was a one club man. I have to admit, I had admiration for the 2 Argentines as well, in terms of
Ricky Vieira and Ardiles.
I thought that was a good team. I thought that if they kept them together and they had a better defence, I think Spurs could have challenged for the league, but they weren't able to do that. More of a cup side.
Also, how can we forget him? And England have never had a better midfield player than him. People go on about Bellingham, Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, exactly.
Gazza was a fantastic player for them.
Gazza and Hoddle probably are the best.
Lineker as well. Gary Lineker. He was a bit of a legend.
Yeah.
Gazza was. I thought Hoddle was better than Gazza.
Oh yeah.
In terms of all-round midfield play, and Glenn Hoddle had the best technique I've seen from an English player. The only player that comes close to Glenn Hoddle when it comes to technique, for me, is Paul Scholes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. I don't remember this game at all. Even gents, I'm a Grimsby Town fan. Sorry to hear that, mate. Did either of you attend the FA Cup game '86? Think Arsenal won 4-3. I don't remember that game at all myself.
It's an FA Cup third round game. I think
FA Cup that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, Charlie Nicholas scored was played. Derek scored one of the goals. And Charlie Nicholas scored a couple of free kicks, won a free kick in one of those games. But yeah, 86. Yeah, believe it or not, it was one of the first televised games of that season, because remember there was a TV blackout in 85, 86.
Yeah.
So one of the first televised games in that season was Grimsby losing to us 4-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember that game at all. I've got a pretty good memory for games. I definitely wasn't at the game. That is for certain.
That was an amazing game, yeah.
I don't remember it. Big up, Jacob, mate. Thank you, my friend. No, I don't. Abby Chip says I hated Almunia. Signed him.
Yeah, I remember Almunia.
Oh dear. Right, next one, of course, the iconic, the man that is a legend, of course, for the one game and one game only, is John Lukic.
God, love him.
89, of course, the world's famous game where 80,000 Arsenal fans were at Anfield. I thought he was a great Lukic. Got him from Leeds, great player.
Yeah, I mean, he had one of the longest kicks.
Yeah, sure.
Goalkeeper. I mean, he used to kick the ball and it used to bounce on the opponent's penalty spot. Do you know what I mean? He could half kick a ball, seriously kick a ball. But I think he was he was over 6 foot, wasn't he? He was quite tall, wasn't he, Johnny Lukic?
He's 6'4". He was 6'4".
He was 6'4". I was going to say 6'3", 6'4". Now, surprisingly enough, and I've not seen many goalkeepers since, he was very, very good at getting down low. Very quick getting down low to the low shot as well. For a big man, he could get down brilliantly quick. And when he saved the ball, he never put it into any danger. He'd either tip it round the post or he'd tip it over the bar. He never took any chances. That's what I liked about John Lukic. He never took any chances. You know, if he needed clearing, he'd clear it. Very good at crosses as well. So he was very good. When we got him from Leeds, I was a bit surprised really, because there was a few clubs in for him, you know, and we done really, really well to get him, because I can't remember who he was going to sign. I think it might have been. I think Man United were in for him as well, I was very surprised, and when he did come to Arsenal, I was really over the moon, because I used to watch him on. That's one goalkeeper I'd like at Arsenal.
We got him for no money.
And when he did sign at Arsenal, I was a little bit over the moon that he signed for Arsenal. But a really good goalkeeper. And then in '89 as well. Talk about it.
I mean, we built old Terry Neal bought him for £75,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Hey, do you remember that game, that marathon FA Cup time, when he was in goal for Leeds in '83, when Leeds scored in the last minute to put them 1-0 up, and in the last second of the game, Graham Ricks got a header. And we equalised, and they went into extra time, and we ended up taking them back to Highbury and winning. But that was my sort of biggest introduction to John Lukic. I think the thing that, you know, the buzzword was Chesterfield, because you think about when you talk about great goalkeepers, I always associated Chesterfield with Gordon Banks, obviously Bob Wilson, obviously Johnny Lukic. But you know, with Johnny Lukic, you know, he had to be patient though, because remember he came to us in '83, '84, and Pat Jennings was coming to the end of his time.
Yeah.
But he was still getting games, and even into like the 84-85 season, John had
But
to be
that's-
patient.
But that's
He
why
did-
I
he
admired
did
him as
start
well,
games for
because
us.
he had big boots, big hands to fill, didn't he, John Lukic?
Mm.
Because Pat Jennings was an outstanding goalkeeper that we've just spoken about.
He was coming to the end of his career, though.
Do
He was on the wane, though, wasn't he?
what,
Pat
Kenny?
Jennings.
Sorry?
Pat was a bit on the wane. Do you remember the game against Oxford when he tried to do one-handed?
Yeah.
And it didn't come off, and then
No. He lost a lot of his reflexes by then, old Pat.
Yeah,
didn't he?
and that's
But,
when I think John came into his own in 84-85 when Pat Donnell finally made a decision. He finally made a decision to actually give John his dues. And I think when you think about John Lukic, not only was he a great goalkeeper, but he was a great character and he had a good rapport with the fans.
Yeah,
I know I always mention it.
I never met him.
Yeah. Did you used to ask him, do you remember his wiggle?
Yeah, the John Lukic wiggle. Yeah. Johnny. Yeah. But he'd always come up to the fans, wouldn't he? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd always clap the fans. I mean, the players used to go off, win, lose or draw. You know, he always used to sort of come along the fans, and he was great with the fans as well. But Arsenal fans have always been welcome into the goalkeepers. I remember that North Bank. Every goalkeeper that used to.
Oh yes, every goalkeeper got.
It doesn't matter who it was. We'd always clap them.
Even Torchfett got it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what Ray Clements, any goalkeeper that faced that, any goalkeeper that was behind that.
I remember that.
Never used to get abuse. Always got clapped into their goal, and the away goalkeepers always used to clap the North Bank as well.
Yeah,
it was very welcoming for goalkeepers. That
was a great decision. But you know, one of my best memories of John Lukic, there was a game in 85, 86, 87 where we played West Ham, and West Ham had Frank McAvenny and Tony Cottee, and we were bad.
Yeah,
it was 11. I think it was a 12 o'clock kickoff or 11:30, because in the 80s it was 11:30 or 12 o'clock. Either way, West Ham battered us. It was 0-0, and it's largely down to John Lukic, because John Lukic kept us in the game. Like, he made some very brave saves from Tony Cottee and Frank McAvenny at the feet. And you look at a big 6'4" goalkeeper from his feet. He was a great goal. He only made one mistake, and that was against Everton in '87 when Wayne Clark chipped him from about 40 yards when he tried to.
That's right. And he was well off his line, wasn't he?
But apart from that, he was solid. It's a shame, as an Englishman, he couldn't get any caps. I know he got caps at under 21 level, but when you think about John,
there were some keepers around at the time, wasn't it? Really, there was some really good
Chris
keepers.
Chris Woods was the next cap of the rank.
Grobbler, Grobbler, I thought he was a bloody brilliant goalkeeper.
As good as Neville. The best goalkeeper of that era was Neville Southall. I thought he better Shilton.
Oh, Neville Southall was outstanding.
Remember protest at Everton? Do you remember? At half time, he went and sat in the centre.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't go against Leeds, isn't it?
He wouldn't go in, and he was a naughty old boy, wasn't he? Because at half time, he'd be in a change room having a fag. He'd be having a smoke, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen him now? Have you seen him? He's fucking enormous.
Yeah, I know. He hasn't really looked after himself, old Nev, has he?
He didn't really look after himself as a kid when he played, Nev,
no,
Big Nev.
Not when he's smoking at half time. But would you agree? I've got another one. I'll just ask 2 questions, right? John Lukic in that game at Anfield, I mean, to me, he was one of the heroes of the night. Because if we remember, we're 1-0 up, right? John Barnes has got the ball. He comes running down, bangs a shot in. And how John Lukic even got to the ball, I will to this day never know.
Yeah.
He kept us in that game. Otherwise, that would have been 1-1, and we would have never won the Division 1 title at Anfield. But there's a great a question here from Happy Chips. Top 5 worst Arsenal keepers.
Well, that's harsh.
Petr Cech, maybe one of them.
Well, the Petr Cech we got, I think there was a season His first
He had
season, he
one
was
good season,
okay.
didn't he, Petr Cech?
A couple of seasons, he was fine, and then afterwards, he just wasn't the same.
No.
Almunia for me was not good. Fabianski,
Yeah,
I mean, he was quite poor because he was learning his trade. Fabianski, Almunia.
He also there. There was
Petr Cech, George Wood, and poor old Jimmy. I've got to throw in there as well. Jimmy Rimmer.
No, George Wood has to be top of the tree when it comes to worst goalkeeper.
Was it Richard Green? He was going to be the next England goalkeeper. Was it Richard Green got him from Ipswich?
Oh, Richard Wright.
Richard
Wright. He came with a huge CV. Yeah, he was going to be the next Gordon Banks, apparently.
Yeah, but George Wood is the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen at Arsenal.
Yeah, George Wood was awful. Yeah, he really was.
What's this guy on about? Can't keep eye contact. Get out of here.
Thank God George Wood never had too many appearances for us, to be honest.
Well, we also about 5-0. The 5-0 at Wild Lane, and I saw the goals that he let in '83. They also. It wasn't the fact that they were savable. It's the fact that the Spurs players had the audacity to actually shoot from a distance because they knew it was him.
Yeah.
They were most of them were long distance goals. Yeah. And he was either too slow coming out or he was too slow getting down.
Yeah, he just wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't very good. But Almunia as well, he wasn't that good. Fabianski at the time was a bit poor for us as well.
Here's a good question for you. Who's better between Pat Jennings or Lukic? That's a tough question.
Pat. Sadly.
Yeah, Pat Jennings.
Both legends.
Some of the saves he pulled off was just incredible.
Yeah, the thing is, I like about he was such a character, wasn't he?
Guys, you want to know the lineup for today, or should we save it?
No, go for it, mate.
Right, the lineup today: in goal, David Raya. At right back is Jeremy Timber. At left back, return to the team is Miles Lewis-Skelly. At centre half, Saliba and Gabriel. And midfield is a triumvirate of Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. Mourinho still playing up top. Either side of Mourinho is Ethan Nwaneri on the right hand side, and on the left hand side is Trossard. And on the bench, Ben White, Kivior, Zinchenko, Tierney, Sterling, Jorginho. So Arsenal are going relatively strong today.
They've got no choice, mate. That is it. That is all they've got.
We ain't got anybody else. Oh my days! Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me that lineup. We ain't got anybody else to play.
I'm waiting for Mourinho to.
We need to stink the place out. We need to stink the place out and come away with a draw.
Hey guys, what we need, what I'm looking forward to is Mourinho's burst of pace.
Righto. We just got to hope he gets on something. We just got to hope a cross comes in and he just happens to just get on the end of it. I can't. We've got nothing. I just can't see us doing anything, to be honest.
Mourinho up top is a joke, isn't it? He's so bad.
Oh, shocking.
One trick pony, mate. That was. But hey, there we go.
It was only Leicester.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, of course, John Lukic, iconic player for me. At Anfield, that game alone for me that night, I thought he was immense. I mean,
kept his cool as well, didn't he? Kept his cool. Lot of,
Christ almighty. But of course, we move it on. One of my favourite goalkeepers ever at Arsenal Football Club is, of course, David Seaman.
Probably the best goalkeeper.
Great goalkeeper.
540 odd appearances for the club.
England #1.
He pretty much was the most all-round goalkeeper that we've probably ever had. He had everything: positioning, shot stopping, handling of the ball, and I just think that Arsenal back four that we had wouldn't have been the back four it was without David Seaman.
Yeah.
No,
Because
yeah.
because if a cross came in or a corner came in and he shouted for that ball, the defenders knew. They didn't even jump for it.
No,
They didn't even jump for it. And there was never any mix-up. The communication between defence and David Seaman was just incredible. You know, if he called for it, they left it. Tony Adams didn't go for the ball because he knew David Seaman was going to be there. It was just, they just worked off of one another. And he was a really, really good. I mean, his kicking weren't brilliant. If I could make it, there was one weakness probably. His kicking weren't fantastic, but what he had was his all-round vision and goalkeeping. I mean, every cross. I mean, he must have been probably one of the best goalkeepers in the air for catching and gathering a ball and everything else. I mean, he was just incredible, was David Seaman, and he kept us in a lot of games. He won us a lot of points.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember that game. What the only game that we want to forget was Naeem from the halfway line.
Oh, God.
And to this day, I still don't know how he got beat.
Yeah.
However, he was forgiven for that because he made some brilliant saves. I can't remember, was it Sheffield Wednesday when he scooped the ball off the line and he sort of
semi-final, yeah.
Semi-final.
It was Karen Brady's husband, didn't it? Before he scored.
Everyone thought he'd scored, you know.
Yeah, it was Pesky Slido for Sheffield United, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Sheffield United. I mean, that was one of the best saves I've ever seen, even to this day. And
that's when he was slowing down as well, Seaman. That's when he was beginning to slow down.
Yeah, that's exactly. But I mean, I remember some of his saves he made, and you know, 1-on-1, and there was one where he was going in the top corner, and it was bent in the top corner, and he's just literally leaped off, and he's literally just tipped it over the bar. He was incredible goalkeeper, was David. And he was quite good at saving the penalties as well, wasn't he? You know,
he was, he was actually. Yeah.
He weren't too shabby at saving a penalty. And you've got to remember, he was also very consistent for England.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Some players, you know, when they come back from a World Cup or a major tournament, they'll have a lull period for their club. But it's as David Seaman used to come back from the World Cup or the Euros, and it's as if he'd never been away.
Well, 100%.
I'll tell you, David Seaman, he used to fish at a lake that I used to fish at. He was a mad.
Yeah, that's right. When you Gaza.
He still is, isn't he? He still is a fisherman, isn't he?
Yeah. And he was such a nice guy. I remember I was up there once and up this lake, beautiful lake, fantastic. It was a private syndicate lake. And he came walking along. He said, hello. I said, all right, mate. I went, oh, all right, Mr. Seaman, like this. I was taking a piss. I was having a laugh. And he went, oh, you're an Arsenal fan? I said, yeah, just a little bit. And he went, how do you think we're doing this season? I said, yeah, not bad, mate. I said, but I think we can sharpen up the defence. And he just looked at me, laughed, and fucking walked off. And of course, that was the iconic first double winning team for Arsene Wenger. So that was a bit, I was having a laugh with him. But yeah, I mean, he's a lovely man, actually. Really nice.
Do you remember how we got him? Do you remember like the rumor when we actually nearly got him in March 1990, where everything was agreed, and it was agreed that John Lukic was going to go to Queen's Park Rangers? Because remember, like the transfer deadline was actually it was actually during the end of the financial year, the 31st of March every year. So that's when the transfer deadline was. So you can go all the way to
swap deal, wasn't it? Wasn't it going to be a swap deal?
Yeah, John Lucas didn't want to go to he didn't want to go to Queen's Park Rangers, so it got cancelled at the last minute. But come June, John Lukic got the move he wanted back to Leeds.
That's right.
And we got David Seaman. One thing about David Seaman as well, it wasn't the fact he was solid. It was the fact, and he filled up the goal. It was the fact I know you mentioned about the confidence, but you know, with David Seaman in the 91 season, I remember he was one of the reasons why I never thought we would lose a game, because sometimes you look at your goalkeeper
100%.
and there's two games that remind me of David Seaman's greatness. Obviously, you talk about the save by of Pesci Casalido, but it was a game in the FA Cup against Leeds in 91. Obviously, we went on to the semi-final that year, but it was a game when David Seaman made two great saves, because at that time I wasn't having him, because I'll be honest, I'm a John Lukic diehard, but he converted me in that game against Leeds in 1991. It was a third round game, and he made two saves, and I thought, yeah, he's my man now. One of a volley, which he had no right to save, from Lee Chapman, where somehow he got to, and then there was a double deflection shot from Gary McAllister, which took two deflections. He put it over, and I went, yeah, he's my man. And then let's not forget the European Cup winners semi-final against against Sampdoria, when where he went to penalties, and he was our hero.
Yeah,
Lombardo. He saved Lombardo's penalty.
Lombardo's.
Yeah. So those are the iconic David Seaman moments. And I do remember, believe it or not, if you think about the times when we won a double, he was injured for part of 98, 97, 98 in Alex Meninga.
Alex Meninga.
Alex Meninga was, and then when you think about the double in 2002, our best ever side, in my opinion, the best team I've ever seen. 3 goalkeepers got medals: Richard Wright, Stuart Taylor, and David Seaman.
Yeah, Stuart Taylor. Yeah.
Don't forget, Kenny. Don't forget, of course, a certain gentleman that used to work with him on a certain channel. David Seaman was in the Invincible team. Don't forget that.
Yes.
Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually think you're going to talk about when I did work at Perry Groves. I didn't know you were going to mention him, but there.
Do you remember that?
You can't really forget it. But I think the way Arsene did it, Arsene was honest with him, because I know in 2003, 2004, he went to Man City, never really wanted to be there, but Arsene did tell him that he'd be the third choice goalkeeper if he stayed. Yeah, that kind of leads us on to, believe it or not, there's a lot of people amongst our fan base who I respect a lot, and I respect them for this. They actually think it's close between this guy we're going to mention and David Seaman, and they've actually got a point.
There is a yes, but we're talking here about Lehmann now, of course.
Of course.
I mean, I thought
he's up there. He's up there with our greatest goalkeepers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a bit of a nutcase, but
very eccentric.
He was, but I mean, I still to this day, I'm still going to say it. We were cheated in that. We'll get onto that European Cup.
100%.
It's absolutely
UEFA was not going to have Arsenal winning that Champions League at the time. No way.
Exactly.
Not what they was going through at the time.
Jens Lehmann. I mean, I think I'm right in saying this. He was the only Arsenal goalkeeper or player to come back to help us out when we were in trouble with goalkeepers, wasn't he? We had the best from him. He sort of retired. Came
Blackpool.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, he done a lot. He done similar to what Thierry Henry done when he scored against Leeds, didn't he? He sort of came back from retirement and sort of helped us out a bit, didn't he?
Which obviously he was training, wasn't he? Because he was over in America then, wasn't he? Wasn't he over in America? Yeah. He came back. It was their closed season. He come back.
That's right, Thierry. That's right. Was it New York Bulls?
Something I can't remember, mate. I don't know. It was something like that. But he come back and he scored the iconic goal in the FA Cup, wasn't it? Leeds United. Yeah. But anyway, you know, I always thought Jens Lehmann, right, was a bit of a nutter. Right? I mean, some of his decision making, you used to think, "What are you doing?" But fairness, mate, I mean, he was in the Invincible team. So he had to be pretty bloody good. Let's be fair. I mean, he was a bit of a nutcase, but
he was like your typical goalkeepers that had come out of Germany. He was like very, very, he was coached and manufactured the same as a lot of the German goalkeepers, like Sepp Meyers and
he was coached by Sepp Meyer.
Yeah, exactly. So he was very eccentric, unpredictable.
Yes,
which used to unnerve the defence a bit.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah,
he was a bit unpredictable, but again, what can you say about him? Brilliant shot stopper. I mean, really good shot stopper. I mean, and one thing about what I remember with Lehmann that sticks in my mind is when he saved a shot, it sort of stuck with him. Do you know what I mean? He never, he used to always stay with him. But he was your typical German goalkeeper. Never got ruffled, never got bullied.
And he was a big guy, wasn't he?
Never got wound up. Never got wound up. He used to wind the opposition up. Do you know what I mean? He was your first real nasty goalkeeper, wasn't he?
That is funny. You're making me laugh about something. I'm just remembering Robbie Keane throwing into the net.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was just going to get onto that, but that's what I mean. He used to, strikers used to really didn't like him because he was a bit, he was quite intimidating. Was old Jens Lehmann? Brilliant keeper, invincible. So says it all.
Let's have a quick chat about this, right? The European Cup final.
Yes.
Oh, don't. Do we have to?
I was there. You all of us were there.
I was there. Yeah, awful.
Absolute.
I can't watch it. I've said this before. I can't watch it.
Same here. It still works.
I can't either.
I can't watch it.
I can't watch it. I've
very, very few times I've been in.
The referee, Sergio Hauger, is sorry, Ches, but he's an absolute bastard of a man.
Yes,
I hate him. If I saw him, I'd strangle him. Because I think he's the most corrupt individual I've ever seen. Until the Chelsea, the guy who refereed Chelsea Barcelona was just as corrupt.
Yeah,
he admitted. He admitted he took a bung.
I can't remember when I was at. Even to this day, I can't believe he was sent off.
Neither could I.
It was just the worst decisions. And I'm not just saying it because it's Arsenal. If that could have been Barcelona versus Tottenham, and that was Almunia in goal, and I'd still be saying the same thing now. To this day, I do not know how he got sent off. And I can't watch it because I was actually...
Lukic surely put the ball in the bloody net and he ran away celebrating. Give the goal.
Yeah.
Give the goal a yellow card.
But Kenny, you know we were never, ever going to win that cup. We knew. You know. You ate for
winning. Lehmann. After that.
If you think about Lehmann, he was our best player. Him and Henry were our best players in that sort of... in that running towards the Champions League final. If you think about the game in Villarreal when he saved Raquelme's penalty, but you think of Lehmann's great games, there's one, obviously, other game that stands out. And when you talk about robberies, remember we got robbed by Liverpool in 2001 in the FA Cup final? Seaman was in goal. We actually battered him. I nicked it. When
it was my final, wasn't it? We absolutely battered them, didn't we?
But in 2005, Man United smashed us to pieces. Lehmann made save after save, kept us in the game, and then he saved Paul Scholes' penalty. We went on to win the game. Lehmann was our man of the match. Let's not forget, Antonio Reyes got sent off in that match.
He did, yes. Yeah,
in a cup final.
That's true.
Yeah, he did.
And it was Lehmann who won it for us.
Yeah. I mean, Lane, that to me was one of his best performances in an Arsenal shirt, in an Arsenal goalkeeper shirt, and one of the best.
Was his best
and
performance.
One of the best performances I've seen from an Arsenal goalkeeper. That final, he was just incredible.
I mean, this is a good question from Dazza here. When that happened, Robert Pires had to go off, sacrifice. I mean, that I think had a hell of an impact in the team. Losing Pires.
It was an easy decision to make. And I'll tell you guys why.
Go on.
Remember, we had Hleb, who was a runner, who could run. We had Lundberg, we needed to run with 10 men.
Yeah.
And sadly, Robert Pires wasn't the same player he was in 2004 and 2002.
No.
And if you really wanted to play with 10 men, from a sort of like athletic point of view, we would have been playing with 9 if Robert Pires was in the side. Sorry to say it, but that's how I agree with Arsene Wenger's decision.
Yeah.
From a footballing point of view.
Sorry, that's a good point, actually. I never thought about it like that. But there you go. Hendon Gouda says, like, as we all know this one, the referee admitted it many years later. He got that gift from Barcelona. I mean, come on. That guy should never, ever have refereed ever again. For a FIFA referee to take
it
a
never
buck.
really gets mentioned, does it?
No, it
It's one of
doesn't.
It's one of these things that never get mentioned, you know.
I mean,
it wasn't just the sending off. It was all the other decisions. Whenever they got tackled, they were going down. Van Bommel, a cheat, going down like it was. Etu, the biggest cheat of all, the one who got bloody Lehmann the sent off. Pathetic. Ronaldinho, Deco, all of them were just wasting time, going down. It's funny how when they went 2-1 up, oh God, you know what I mean? His refereeing was even more biased. Couldn't wait to get him to win it. You know what I mean? But
it's terrible.
If Henry puts that chance at 2-0, it makes things interesting because all we had to do was just sit on our goal line, and I thought we'd have won it.
I never got over that. Even the following season, I was still reading about that game.
Arsene Wenger never got over it.
No, never got over it.
Yeah,
you see Arsene Wenger in the stadium. He was going absolutely apoplectic with anger at the at PR girl because she was trying to get him to do interviews, and he was pushed. He was like shooing her away and screaming at her because he was so annoyed.
No, it's a disgrace, man. Absolutely disgrace. Anyway.
But Lehmann or Seaman, that'll be a debate at the end. We'll see.
It is, because you've got to have that debate because Lehmann had attributes that Seaman would never have. Like
I think we've got to go for our top 4 goalkeepers, haven't we? Our top 4.
But we know Lehmann was a better modern keeper than Seaman. He was better with his feet. He was a better sweeper keeper.
Oh yeah,
and he was more of a leader.
He was intelligent, wasn't he?
If we had Lehmann in goal in 2007, 2008, when we were going for the title, we won the league because I swear, Arsene Wenger cost us the league that year by playing on Meunier in goals to Lehmann. I still believe that.
Good point.
Do you remember the home tie, Almunia, in the Champions League when we played Barcelona? And Almunia, do you remember? He pulled off those world-class saves. And we went in at half-time 0-0. And then he came out in the second half and he had 2 rushes of blood and made absolute ricket. And we ended up losing the game in the first leg. And but I remember that. Them saves he made in the first half against Barcelona, I'm thinking, where have they come from? Go and have a look at it. They were incredible.
You know it was.
And then he must have drunk something at half time because he came out second half and he was a completely he was like, I'll say it in the words of Kenny, a right pork chop.
do you remember that at the beginning of 2007? Tony 94 would say that. Are you an Arsenal fan, Tony? But, you know, in the beginning of 2007, 2008 season, there's no doubt Lehmann made a couple of rickets. Like, remember Fulham when he got tackled and then they went 1-0 up, and then David, I think David, who's the other? Bentley had a shot, and then Lehmann tried to do a Pat Jennings. It went through his hands, and then he got injured, We fought, we fit. And then that was it. He didn't get his chance again. And I thought that was a wrong decision because despite those two aberrations, we didn't lose those games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we have had some great goalkeepers at Arsenal. Let's be truthful. We've also had some poor goalkeepers.
Yeah.
I mean, in recent times, we've bought some very eye-opening keepers thinking, what? Who? Runnison? Yeah. I mean, what was that about?
What do you think? How do you rate Aaron Ramsdale?
I thought when he came in, I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, but he did all right, but then he started to slip off. And honestly,
that season we got back in the Champions League, he was outstanding. He saved us a lot of times in some big games. He definitely weren't one of the worst. Do you remember David Ospina?
Oh Christ! Yeah.
Do you remember Ospina?
Too small. He was too small, but effective, but too small.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other goalkeepers we've had. Ospina,
Chesney.
Yeah, that's it.
Chesney. I couldn't believe he actually played 180 odd appearances. He was only 20.
Should have been an Arsenal legend. He should have been an Arsenal legend.
He was only 20 games shy of Jens Lehmann.
Yeah, Chesney. He should have been an Arsenal legend, but he smoked it away.
Came as a 16-year. He came as a young goalkeeper, didn't he? And
he went Brentford, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he went out on loan somewhere, didn't he? And then he come back and very good goalkeeper. And right up till recently, I mean, you know, he would have been one of Arsenal's best goalkeepers if he'd have. Should have been. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he was a very good goalkeeper.
I think he was. Here's a question for you, gentlemen. Pixel Pioneers, be up the panel. Would you prefer to stay at Highbury and expand the stands instead of moving to the Emirates?
Well, if it was possible, then I would have stayed at Highbury. I think we lost a lot of our soul when we moved to the Emirates, to be honest. And although the Emirates has been rocking on occasions, and it's a nice stadium, there's nothing like Highbury. It was special, wasn't it, Highbury? It was incredible.
I mean, there was. I remember this because I'd left home many years before this, but I remember going up to my mum and dad's house, and Arsenal wanted to buy all the houses in Avenel Road.
Yes.
And the proposal was they would rebuild, literally take down the East Stand wall, the Art Deco wall, rebuild it some 100 yards further back, which would have been basically in my mum and dad's back garden. They wanted to buy all the houses up, expand that stand, and they wanted to do the same. That the proposal was a couple of years later, they wanted to do the same thing with the West Stand in Ivory Hill.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Islington
Town Council said no.
The rest, the posh residents.
The Arsenal station as well, though.
The posh residents. No. I don't know if do you remember, like, on Thames News, there was this actress who went on Thames News, and she formed like a protest group to stop Arsenal from expanding, from forcibly trying to buy up all the houses around Highbury. And it turned out she was a bloody Man United fan. You know what I mean? But it was one of those things where we have to be honest with ourselves. David Dean was trying to move us to Wembley.
Yes.
That wasn't going to work.
But as much as David Dean was a great Arsenal man, David Dean was just as much interested in us reclaiming the same sort of match day or sort of equaling Man United's match day revenue.
Also, guys, there was also plans years ago when we was going to share a stadium with Tottenham at Alexander Palace.
Oh, yes, I heard that one.
Do you remember that proposal?
Yes, do you remember? I do.
And Arsenal and Tottenham, was going to share at Alexander Palace. They were going to renovate that and make that into some sort of super stadium, and everything else and have all sorts going on there, and we was having to share with Spurs. And
in other countries, that'd have been a do. In Italy, it would be doable.
Well, Italy was it Lazio shared their ground? Lazio shared their ground.
Lazio Roma share a ground, and Internazionale and Milan share a ground, and Juventus. I don't know. Does Juventus share with Torino, or do they both have their own grounds? I don't know, because
I'm not sure. But Lazio
and
Roma.
I
can't remember when that was. When we was, and I at one point that was very close in being a deal going through there, which I'm glad
it makes logically it makes sense, isn't it? You think about it. The bus W3 starts at Finsbury Park and goes to White Lane, and it goes through Ali Pali. There's bus W3. If you come out of Middle Lane in Crouch End.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would have been a good location, but thankfully it never
on Ali Pali, you can see both Arsenal and Tottenham. If you go up to the top of Ali Pali, both grounds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. You go at the front of Alexander Palace. It's on the top of the hill. You can see the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and you go further down the Islington Park, you can see the Emirates. And if you go up to
that's what I was going to do. I'm going to ground share. God, imagine that.
You know, actually, if you come down Highgate Hill, you can actually see the Emirates Stadium.
Yeah.
So there's only 4 miles apart. And I was having an argument with a good mate of mine because I've got a property in Crouch End, and he kept on saying to me that Crouch End's a Tottenham area. I said, rubbish.
No, it's not.
Crouch End is nearer to Arsenal than it is Tottenham. So I went on Google Maps, and he was right. Crouch End is actually much nearer to Spurs' ground than the Emirates.
Really? It is quite, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of other keepers we've not mentioned, but I mean,
I've never heard of this guy. A young cheese says we signed goalkeeper Emiliano Viviano.
Never played though.
I never heard of him.
What? Vito Manone. He went to play for Sunderland.
Yeah. I've got. I'm going to wrap this up shortly because we got the game at 8, and I want to have something to eat before the game starts.
Hey, one thing you forgot as well. He's actually selling for Aston Villa. The guy we missed out on was Martinez. He was in for us for 10 years.
I was going to come to Martinez. I mean, I don't know what happened there with Arteta. I don't know. I mean, come on. I mean, look what he's gone on to have done. World Cup winner.
It's another Arteta mistake, isn't it? He should have kept Martinez, saved the money, kept Martinez. But he was really patient, wasn't he? Emi Martinez. Wow. Yeah. I mean, when do you think he was, in the sort of back in the changing room for all them years, and World Cup winner. I mean, that season he had for us when he.
Martinez, did he play in that game when we won 7-5 against Reading when we were about 4-0 down? Did he play in that game? Was he our goalkeeper, Martinez?
He was. I remember that game against Reading. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? We were 4-0 down. We were getting absolutely battered.
League Cup, wasn't it?
League Cup, that's right.
Yeah. But Emi Martinez, what can you say? I mean, his record speaks for himself. But again, he should have been Arsenal's number 1, and he should have probably. Some say he should still be there.
I agree with that.
Some say he should still be there instead of who we've got now.
It is one I throw in the mix. Then Ramsdale. I mean, he's gone back to where he came from, and.
I thought he was roughly treated, to be honest.
He overachieved. I think he overachieved.
Oh, do
you think about a goalkeeper of that caliber, of that experience, but never really played for a big team. As much as it hurt him, the way it was done, and it wasn't done nicely, because I think the way he was getting treated in training, I mean, Arteta getting a lot of Spanish-speaking coaches there, and your number 2 can't speak Spanish. but you isolate your number two, who you were relying on this season before. I thought that was a bit crass, Arteta. But when you think about Ramsdale, he's an England international. I think he's overachieving in that respect because of who he's playing for. And at Arsenal, he overachieved because you think about it. If we were to cast our minds back and go back to the zeitgeist of 2021 or 2020, did any of us have Ramsdale down as an Arsenal number one? And or not?
No, not at all. Not at all. But what he did do, he did save us on many occasions, and we wouldn't have finished in the goal. You know, he some of his saves that he pulled off, the free kick against Madison that he pulled off.
I was right behind the goal in that one.
I wasn't further back, but I mean the free kick on that, and there was a lot of he was a good shot stopper. But unfortunately, you know, it didn't work out for him, and it still ain't working out for him. It's a shame, really. His career is not going how it should be, really. You know,
if someone gets promoted next season, they'll play Ramsdale. Ramsdale's like height. He's how I say, he's like a fortune soldier. You want to stay in the division, get Ramsdale.
Yeah. No, fact. And our current keeper, Raya, I think he'll come good, but I think he's got to know his levels. I think there's a couple of times he's going to get caught off his line. I think quite a few times.
He's only 6 foot, you know. He's only 6 foot.
Yeah. I'm still not.
Would you like a taller goalkeeper?
I'm still not kind of. You got to remember when we've seen great keepers like Lehmann, David Seaman, Pat Jennings, and all of that. I'm still yet to be convinced with this guy.
Is he the best? Is he the best goalkeeper we've had? Who's the best with his feet? Best goalkeeper.
Goalkeepers. Yeah, but Kenny, that's because the game's changed so much now. That goalkeepers.
Who is, in your opinion, right? Right. This is going to be a question after. Right. Who in all the goalkeepers we have talked about tonight, who, in your opinions, each of you gentlemen, is your best Arsenal goalkeeper?
Me personally, I would have to say David Seaman.
It's hard, mate. It's a hard one for me.
It's really difficult, and it pains me to say it because of the Pat Jennings, John Lukic, who was a hero of Arsenal hero of mine because of the '89 and everything else. But I think because of the appearances he made for the club, I mean, I know Jens Lehmann gets a lot of the plaudits because of the Invincibles, but I think on a weekly basis, if I was to have all the goalkeepers in the changing rooms, I think David Seaman would be first on my team sheet.
You know what, guys? It's an odd one for me
because of his organisation skills and because of how how well he worked with his defence.
See, that's the thing. It's an odd one for me because I was brought up on Pat Jennings, and for me, Pat Jennings was one of the best goalkeepers in the world when I was watching him at Arsenal. Yeah, and then when I look at Jens Lehmann, I can't let go the fact that he was a leader of men, and I think that when there was a period in '80s when we had that young side who struggled to get in the top four in 05-06, it was Jens Lehmann who, even though Henri had the armband, it was Jens Lehmann who was actually captain the team.
Dragged them through. That's a good point, Kenny. That's a good
point. Then I think about his performances as well. His performances were of such top class, and he was a more modern keeper. But then I look at David Seaman, and I think about Sampdoria away, and I think about that Leeds game and the 91 team, and I'm still torn because it's hard for me.
But then you've got the great Bob Wilson.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I should say David Seaman, but I don't feel comfortable saying it because I'm not sure.
Don't do it then. Don't do it, Kenny. Don't do it.
That's the tricky.
I'm going to go. If you want my top 4, Jez,
Go on.
I'm going to go David Seaman, Jens Lehmann, John Lukic, Pat Jennings. No, sorry.
I've got to agree with you.
Seaman, I'm going to change it very quickly. Seaman, Lehmann, Jennings, Lukic. My top 4.
I see now. I'm going to be controversial here. Right. It is hard, isn't it? It's a hard one.
Yeah, it's tough because we've had so many. We've had so many good goalkeepers.
For me, John Lukic is a legend to me. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, no.
Because that game at Anfield, '89, right?
Yeah.
Probably one of the greatest games of football I've ever seen live in my life.
Yeah.
The whole intensity, the atmosphere, the depression. I mean, I won't lie, going up there, nobody thought we were going to win. And
No. I remember the journey myself, mate. It was,
We win at Anfield 2-0.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. And so for me, that man is an absolute legend. But my top 4, we'll go that way. Let's go top 4, right? It's got to be, for me, in this order, is going to be David Seaman, John Lukic, Pat Jennings, Jens Lehmann.
All right.
See, I'm going to be like, I'm going to be.
You're staying to you, Kenny.
You know what? Do you guys remember the Commonwealth Games, 100-meter sprint between 100 meters when you had McFarlane for England and Alan Wells for Scotland, and they both got the gold medal. Do you remember it? In the 82 Commonwealth Games in Brisbane, Australia. Do you remember it? And it was Mike McFarlane and Alan Wells. Well, and it was a dead heat, and they got the same time. Yeah, I'm going to have to go. My joint top goals.
You can't do it. You can't. You're not allowed to do that, Kenny.
All right, I'm going to have to be honest with you.
Just
I'll have
go on.
Say, Seaman, just Jens Lehmann, Pat Jennings, and John Lukic. I have to put Pat above John Lukic. I have to put Pat because
same as me. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it, mate? You picked the same as me. Just.
Yeah. Pat Jennings was 35, and he's still much in his prime. So for you, if you want to go,
we ain't mentioned Leno.
Yeah. So Pat Jennings was 32, right? He was 32 when he joined us, still within his prime. So from about 32 years old to when he was about 36, he was the best goalkeeper in the world.
Oh,
and afterwards he ran away.
See, the thing is, right, when you speak about goalkeepers, you speak about the great Gordon Banks, the Alex Stepneys, Ray Clements, Pat Jennings,
Peter Shilton.
Shilton, yeah. So
was Neville Southall better than those two? All of them. Was Neville Southall better than all of them?
No, Neville Southall weren't as better.
Gordon
Banks was one of the best goalkeepers ever.
But was Neville Southall better than Shilton?
Yeah.
I don't know. No.
Was he better than Clements?
I would say Shilton. I would say Southall was better than Clements. I would put Shilton above Southall.
All right, I'm going to rephrase that question. Is Neville Southall the best penalty taker, best shot stopper of all time you ever seen?
Neville Southall.
Don't know.
Probably yes.
You think about when he was at Everton.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, when they won the league.
Yeah, probably. We can't go without mentioning Bernd Leno.
Oh Christ, blimey!
Bernd Leno, he was good. Sadly, he was an improvement with Petr Cech. Now, I'm unique, unlike you guys. I never really had a problem with Petr Cech at Arsenal. I actually was looking forward to him.
I didn't have a problem with Petr Cech.
I actually did. I didn't think Petr Cech was as bad as people said, but I understand where people are coming from. That
he done all right for us.
Yeah, you know what it was? He didn't replicate his Chelsea form.
No.
with us. And on
But
that
it wasn't
basis,
good.
it was unforgivable for an Arsenal fan that we weren't getting Petr Cech Chelsea. And as we speak, Villa are 3-1 up.
To see that.
Yeah, they got a good draw there, though, didn't they? But yeah, it's good. Well done, Villa. Yeah.
Well, they lost. Bruce beat them in the Champions League.
That man knows how to. That man knows his way around Europe. That manager, he knows his conquers in Europe. Leno, again, Leno was similar to Ramsdale.
Yeah.
Very, very, very. Didn't do anything terribly wrong, but wasn't really kind of accepted by everyone. See, with Jennings and keepers like that we've mentioned.
Joe Corrigan. He's good.
Yeah, remember Joe Corrigan, Man City, wasn't he?
Big lad. He was actually exceptional. He was 6'3", filled the goal as well, but probably not as good as Peter Shilton and my guy Ray Clements and Pat Jennings, obviously. But he was a great goalkeeper.
Yeah. No, that's right. But as I said, I mean, very quickly getting back with Leno, he, a bit like Ramsdale, you know, he had his good games, he had his good moments, but he was never kind of accepted as one of the greats. But, you know, he's doing all right for Fulham.
DJB. When we remember that time when we had our unbeaten run, and he did it. Southampton, he was awful. Coming out, missing kicks, missing punches.
He was all over the place.
Down to him. And
he got down on his near post as well a couple of times in a couple of games, didn't he? He got down on his near post. We never recovered
from that, you know, because if we didn't lose that Southampton game and we went on a further run, I think we would have got the top 4 that season. You know, 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
I think
he wouldn't go down as one of my worst goalkeepers at Arsenal, but he certainly wasn't up there with the best. Alex Meninga was Alex Minger.
Minger.
He was a good deputy. He was a number 2. He was never a number 1, but he was a good number 2.
So where would you wait? Where do you think this Raya's going to go then amongst the top goalkeepers that we've just said?
Something. DJB's got to win something.
He ain't done nothing yet.
All those players you mentioned have won things. You don't win anything for us, you can't be a great.
No.
That is so true.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking about these legends, though. Absolute pleasure.
Couple of quick questions before we go about tonight.
Yeah.
Here we go. Big up, just what's your thoughts on the lineup tonight? Well, at the end of the day, mate, we ain't got nobody else. So that's the lineup we're going to have to go with.
I think it's going to be that's the lineup for the rest of the season, unless we get more injuries. And if you look at the attacking lineup, we're relying on a 17-year-old. We're relying on a player who I think should be substitute. Is a bit part player that can come on. Trossard. He's not a player that can start for 90 minutes in my book. He's a player that I will bring on to have
you sell him at the end of the season? Would you sell him to Martinelli at the end of the season?
Yeah. He would go at the 2, Martinelli or Trossard. Trossard would be my first to go this. Yeah, if I was that sporting director, if I could get 40 million for Trossard, gone.
He'd be gone.
100%.
Who would you get the most money for, though? Who you potentially get the most money for out of both of them?
What, Martinelli or Trossard?
Yeah.
I think Martinelli would probably bring more because of his pace and his seasons that he's had previous. I think he would be more. I think he'd be more of an appetite for managers because of his pace. I think Martinelli at the 2 would have a better chance of going to a bigger club than Trossard.
I agree.
Listen, I've got nothing against Trossard. I think what he does well, but he's not a player that you would start for 90 minutes. He's a player that you'd bring on the 50-minute mark, perhaps 10 minutes, you know. To me, he doesn't start. He's brilliant as a squad player, but to me, he's never been that player that could start because he's too in and out. He goes in and out. He'll have flashes of moments, but you know when when you used to watch when you watch Saka and players like that, and when you watch the players that we've had over the years, you know, they're all the time, they're bang at it all the time for 90 minutes. He isn't. But then who do you blame? Again, the manager. Look at the manager. He ain't really got the best out of him. Martinelli's fallen off the cliff, hasn't he?
Well,
So,
how many players have? I mean, come on, how many players do we have fallen off the cliff? But score prediction for tonight, guys. I'm going to go a dirty 1-1.
I'm going to go 1-0 PSV. Unfortunately, I hate to say
I can't see us scoring. I can't see. I can only. No. I think. I can't see us getting a goal. It'd be 0-0.
I think it's going to be 1-0 PSV, and if it's anything more than that, then it's good night. I'm afraid we'll be going over there next week, Kenny, looking at the stars, mate.
Oh, I think the best we can hope for if we go 1-0 down,
any draw
is extra time like last season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Extra time. That'd be the best we can hope for.
But they are the Arsenal equivalent, because they were 6 points clear of Ajax at one point, and now they're sort of 7, 8 points behind them.
That's right.
They've kind of bottled it, but the players have been a bit inconsistent in the league lately. But one thing they have turned up for, PSV, unfortunately, is the Champions League, because they're putting themselves in the shop window. A lot of them players were putting themselves in the, in the transfer market. So they're going to turn up to that.
Before we
wrap
it up,
pieces will be our best friend again.
We talked about this in great depth last night. Before we go, because the game starts in about 28 minutes. Is this guy coming in, this new sporting director, is it bullshit?
I always say, Jez, lately with Arsenal, until I actually see him sitting at a desk with an Arsenal blazer on or tie, and it's like the players, until I actually see an Arsenal player in a shirt walking out at the Emirates, I don't believe anything. I hope he's coming, and all roads lead to that he's coming, but until I actually see it, I'm not going to get excited.
You know what it is? Has it been leaked to Sky?
I don't know, mate. I've no idea.
Yeah, because I think if you go by our previous transfer activity, because the transfer activity could be going for a player, not getting him, or going for the player and getting him. A lot of when it goes on Sky, it's as good as accurate. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they were accurate when they were talking about Casado and Mudryk, and they're extremely accurate when they talked about Marino, Calafiori, Declan Rice, Trossard, all those guys. They were completely and utterly accurate with it, and that's club leaking it. If Sky were to say, look, Arsenal in the hunt to get Andre Beto, I think it will happen, or the club are genuinely going for it. So that's. I haven't heard it on Sky, so I suppose.
I hope so, because the guy seems to know what he's doing, and as I said on the stream on Lee's stream yesterday, I think that this signing as a sporting director for the future of Arsenal Football Club, no matter what manager's in charge in the future, getting this right, this sporting director right now, getting this appointment right is more important than any player coming to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Because if this goes wrong, it will go wrong for the next 2 or 3 years.
100%. You only have to look at Chelsea. When they poached Peter Kenyon from Man United, that was the start. If they didn't have Peter Kenyon and his contacts, who knows what would have happened?
Exactly. So this could go. It could go tits up if we don't make the right appointment. If this sporting director don't sign for some reason or other, and it all goes messy, then it could be disaster.
I totally agree with that. Well, that wraps up, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Next week is going to be a tricky one, because we're going to have to pick DJB, Kenny and me, we're going to have to pick our best 8 Arsenal midfielders of all time. So
That's hard.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the midfielders.
Our best 8.
From the 70s onwards?
Anywhere.
Yeah, okay.
30s through.
Have we done midfielders already?
Yeah, we talked about midfielders, but this is your best 8.
Oh, the best 8. All right, definitely. Yeah, okay, definitely.
It's your personal choice.
Are we doing comparisons as well to midfielders?
Going to be
we can compare them, I suppose, can't we?
Now are we playing next Tuesday night at home?
No, next Wednesday. Wednesday.
Me and Kenny, I'll meet you there, Kenny. I think where I'm going, obviously.
Well, just like last time, innit?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd have changed the night.
Look at the midfielders. Look at the midfielders that are coming up in the chat already. Smash the likes anyway, guys. Come on. This history channel's legendary. No one else does this. Come on.
Well, the other thing about it, right, is that it's already going to be hard work, but hard work in a brilliant way. It's going to be hard to actually agree on the 8 because 2 of the greatest players we've ever had have been named by Tim A and Freedom Journey.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's going to be really difficult. And you've got to take your hat off on the
and Joshua's just mentioned another great as well.
Yeah, Petit, yeah.
It's a tough one. I've already written mine down. I've got 10.
You haven't, have you?
Yeah. Well, I've already cheated because I'm.
Are we going for 8 or 10, Jez? Can you make it a little bit easier for me and Kenny? Can you go for 10?
10. Make it 10.
10.
Make it 10.
I've got 10. So make
Top
it
10. All right.
10.
You're a legend, Jez.
I thought I'd throw a spanner right in the works. Right. The following week, I've got loads of these history shows. Doing this for the 3 of us. Right. The following week,
just don't forget, the couple of weeks there's an FA Cup week, there's an international weekend, your favourite, and then there's an FA Cup weekend as well. So there'll be no Arsenal matches after the Chelsea game till from the 16th of March
FA Cup
to the 1st of April.
Yeah,
because the BBC and ITV, they're umming and ahhing about showing the Fulham, obviously Crystal Palace game because we got Fulham on a Tuesday first, and the BBC want to have a weekend of FA Cup quarter-final matches, but there's a big Premiership program on Sky and TNT Sports, so they got decisions to make the BBC and ITV. So as far as we know, the Fulham game still 7:45 on a Tuesday, 1st of April.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest. Out of all the ones left, I would like to see Fulham win it. I'd like to see the winners of the FA Cup winners. I'd like to see out of Fulham or Palace.
It's open because Man City will get beaten by Bournemouth, I think.
I would like to see Palace because it's a great stadium, good fans, never won anything, and Fulham. I would just like to see Fulham.
You know what? I think Palace might nick it. You know that. Hey, you know the Palace game's the same day as Eubank Ben.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the Palace game's at R5 at the Emirates, and Eubank Ben is at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I've got tickets for both. I've got a season ticket, plus my wife wants to go Eubank Ben. So I've got to go from like
I'd like to see Eubank win it, all because he's never been proven as not being a cheat. But that's another story. But what's the other goal? What did you say, Jess, before we go? We've got the top 10, and what was the other one?
The following week, or whenever we do it, is going to be your Kenny, DJ, me, the best Arsenal manager ever in all time. That is from anywhere in history.
Oh, my
Herbert
word.
Chapman. From Herbert Chapman up until Mick Arteta.
Well, you got Herbert Chapman, and we definitely won't be Arteta at the moment, will it?
Don't say it now. But I'll tell you what. I was thinking about this at the weekend, and I thought, do you know, it's a tough call. Yes, we know Herbert Chapman, we know this, we know that, but it's a tough call, man.
Another one we could throw in the mix as well. Another one we could throw in the mix as well that will get all the followers having a little debate amongst family and all that is if you was to pick one Arsenal in starting 11, with the manager, what manager would you pick? And Arsenal's best ever starting 11.
No, that'd be oh my God, mighty.
But that's about personal preference, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's
but that's what makes it good.
You like football to be played.
Yeah,
that's a good shout. It's a good shout. We can do that. We can do that. Anyway, guys, DJ.
No, thank you. Pleasure as always.
Shout out. What channels you? I think I'm on with you on Thursday night.
Thursday.
Is that with Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron.
Arsenal X, isn't it?
Yeah.
Arsenal X rated. Yeah. So everyone that's on here, come over to us on Thursday. Arsenal X rated. I think Aaron's got all what's wrong with Arsenal at the moment channel. I mean, today Thursday, isn't it? So that's good.
Got a good show there Thursday night, actually. What I've seen. Kenny Ken, as always, legend.
Thanks for having me on. I'm with Dan tomorrow, and obviously we're doing our fan cams with Lee. I wouldn't be surprised if I wake up and I see DJB and Jez on an emergency meeting. In fact, I expect to see you on an emergency meeting afterwards.
I don't do tonight because I've double booked myself. Budgie, West Ham fan, he's starting a new show tonight.
Oh, right, fair enough.
3 weeks.
You might see me on Lee's emergency meeting, yeah.
He asked me on that, and I'd forgotten. Of course, I cocked up. I thought we were playing tomorrow night. So I said, Budgie, no worries, man. That's at 10 o'clock tonight. But then I have to jump off and do a fan cam and then come back. Or I don't know.
I'm on Dan's. I might be on emergency meeting tonight, but I have got to get up in the morning and leave. It does go on a bit. I'm on Dan's tomorrow.
Yes, right.
10 o'clock, and then I'm on Aaron's on Thursday.
Yeah, about 6 o'clock to 8.
It's 6 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I've got something tomorrow as well with Deluded Guna.
I'm on with Deluded on Friday.
Who's Deluded Guna? I don't know that. I don't know him.
You know him. You spoke with him. He's a young lad. He's been in the game for a long time. He watches a lot of our youngsters play. He watches the
He does the youth team, doesn't he?
Yeah, youth team. He does the youth team stuff, and he's been on Talk Sport.
I know the channel. I know the channel. I know.
And how good is that Dowman going to be? How good is he?
He's smooth. He's another one who could play. He could play right.
I'll tell you what, he's the nearest player to Liam Brady I've ever seen, and at 15, and that's saying something. And that's saying something. Balanced, 2-footed, always wanting the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, then, guys, wrap it up. Good games.
Right, guys, let's go and watch.
Come on, Arsenal. Come on, boys.
Right. I'm out of here.
Take care.
Love to everyone. Catch you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.